call our meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone please rise. Colonel, you care to lead the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Colonel. At this point, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, moving on to the agenda approval. And we have a slight agenda modification. Adjournment number 9 will be moved to number 10. Number 9 will be a closed session for attorney-client privilege pending litigation. And then also personnel will fall on, it will also be included in that closed session. And then item number 10 will be adjournment. And at this point,
Mr. Chair, I think you'll need to name that legal litigation.
we need it just for the agenda approval too as well? Okay, my apologies, thank you. So that's litigation of Iva Frisbee versus Madison County. And the state, the code is 143-318.11A3, attorney-client privilege pending litigation. And then also will be personnel, will be item number, it will be a general statute number 143-318.11A6. When the time comes, those will be what we'll be operating under. Is there a motion to approve the agenda amendments?
Mr. Chair, I so move to approve the agenda as it's been amended.
All right, got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Briggs. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. We have a new agenda for the evening, folks. All right, next up is our consent agenda, which includes budget amendment number 7, financial reports, tax refunds and releases, law firm foreclosure updates, and approval of our minutes from December 5th special meeting, December 13th regular meeting, and December 28th special meeting. All that being provided to the board ahead of time for their review. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a move that we approve that consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hensley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous? All right, next item of business this evening will be the public comment. First up, Tony Ponder. Mr. Ponder, please come to the podium there.
Chairman Wechtel. Is it all right if we call you Chairman Matt?
Whatever makes you happy, sir.
Okay.
I'm fine with either one.
Okay. Commissioners, I want to address a public comment take from last meeting. By public comment, we mean free speech. I want to address, before I address that, I want to address an issue from the last meeting. A department director attempted to correct a statement I made. I stated that the health department budget deficit for fiscal year of last year was over $600,000. In fact, the director corrected that to say that the BOH budget shows a profit of $500,000. In my notes from that July meeting, the department showed revenues of $2,891,531, expenditures of $3,526,945. Unless there's a new math involved, that is a shortfall of $635,000. At a recent meeting, Commissioner Wechtel verified that the county has to pick up the tab for any shortfall. So we go from a $635,000 deficit to a $500,000 profit. I have a question. Is there someone in the county channeling the late magician Harry Houdini? Chairman Wechtel, you were at that BOH board meeting, remember? The director was also complaining about an ETSU intern request being held up because our county attorney wouldn't write a letter. Remember? She got BOH board approval to hire an outside attorney to write that letter. Of course, I don't want to cast any aspersions on our competency of our county attorney. After all, y'all recently reappointed him to the post. I'm a vigorous proponent of free speech. I strenuously reject any attempt to curtail or censor it. I'm surprised that this came up so soon. In my opinion, you should have been filling a seat on the planning board vacated by Commissioner White. We need to stop haphazard growth in the name of economic development. You were here from 7 until midnight almost 5 hours. Public comment or free speech took 17 minutes. There should be no problem of limiting public comment to 30 minutes. You probably don't know what a person has to go through to address you. Mark Twain once said, and I'm paraphrasing, for an hour talk, give me a day. For a 5-minute speech, give me a week to prepare. With big media, big tech, deep state, globalists, corrupt national governments, and wealthy nonprofits squelching free speech, you decided right off the bat, 5-0, to vote to place a damper on free speech. Is that it?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Ponder.
I'd like to have another 30 seconds.
We're done, Mr. Ponder. Thank you. Next up is next on the list is Glennis Ponder. Ms. Ponder.
Well, I just saw on WLOS where 6 people had been arrested at one of those vacation rentals out next to Brush Creek Elementary School. They were fighting, stabbing each other with knives, and they had every drug under the sun with them. Now, is that what we want for economic development in Madison County?
Thank you, Ms. Ponder. Next up on the list, signed up was Robin Lyles. Mr. Lyles?
How are you guys doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. I don't have a big speech or anything like that. Financial responsibility and financial accountability is what we're looking for in our county leaders. And I think that needs to go a little bit further. And some of our departments are wasteful spending, and I think there needs to be an audit of these departments to find out where this money is going. If this money is not being appropriately used when they ask for it to come to y'all with a budget or to the county manager for a budget, it needs to be found out where that money went to in this type financial situation that we have now. To help with that, to further that, we need outside accountings to come in to check our financial responsibility. Some of our budgets that we give should be spent on the items that have been appropriated for that budget or listed for that budget, and that money should be given for that purpose, not for things that gratify the individuals who spend that money. So what I'm asking is that y'all take accountability for the finances for this county from all the taxpayers here in Madison County and look for good spending and audits to take care of the departments that need the money who are being shortfalled by the other departments who are getting more than their share. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lyles. Those are the only 3 individuals we had that signed up this evening. Give the opportunity for anybody else that would like to speak. You've got 3 minutes if you'd like to come up to the podium and speak. Otherwise, we will
Sign up.
move this and go on. Is that correct?
No, for public comment.
My apologies. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For the public comment on
Yeah.
our public hearings, we thought.
Very good. My apologies. All right, that's it. Public comment. That's all we had signed up this evening then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Next up, Keith Ray from Laurel Community Center. Keith, come on up.
My name is Keith Ray. I am president of the Laurel Community Center organization, and I'd like to say thank you for allowing us to speak with you this evening, and congratulations to the 3 new members that were elected to the board. We were here in November, and we were not on the agenda, but there were 4 of us, and we, like some of you guys that spoke just a few minutes ago, we were under the gun of the 3-minute warning. So we spoke for about 12 minutes to the board, and that was at the November meeting. But we wanted to get back and discuss more in detail with the total board and with the new members of the board. And on advice from Chairman Wechtel, he said that the December meeting might not be the best time for us. And with me tuning in and seeing the live streaming and the length of the meeting, Chairman Wechtel, you certainly were correct. So thank you for that. And thank you, Chairman Wechtel and Mandy and others for placing us on the agenda this evening. We're here simply asking for funding to make improvements to the Laurel Community Center. At that November meeting, I gave some handouts in regards to the history of the Laurel Community Center. We started in about 2017 with a community meeting in regards to, we had a meal site at the Laurel Community Center, but they was talk that it was going to be closed down due to a failing septic system. We were pumping and transferring the sewage from Laurel to Hot Springs and putting it into the municipal sewage system. There were about 70 people at that meeting, and we decided that we needed to get something going. So I was elected president. We elected a board of directors, and we applied for and received from the Secretary of State incorporation papers. And that was in that was in October of 2017. The first meeting, the big meeting that we had, was in September. We worked with the commissioners and originally with the Board of Education to declare that school, which had been closed in 2015 due to lack of enrollment and in regards to that failing septic system, to declare it surplus. In turn, it was declared surplus, transferred to the Board of Education, transferred to the commissioners. We would have loved to lease that building from Madison County, but at that particular time, the commissioners did not want to lease that building to a nonprofit. We were a nonprofit corporation wanting to do a community center, so we received title to the former Laurel Elementary School in April. You think that might be the best thing in the world. However, that's a double-edged sword. Unlike some of the other community centers in Madison County that's owned either wholly by Madison County or leased, we had all the upkeep for that building. So we had to replace that septic. We have to carry the insurances. We received 501c3 status in December of 2018. We have in that handout that we have given you some of the history and the development. Now, I'm an old former teacher and principal, and I am not going to read to you fellas. I never did like for someone to go over point by point, bullet by bullet with me, and I'm not going to do that with you. But we do believe that our request meets social and other needs for the population of Laurel as well as for other parts of Madison County. The things we do related to health, public safety, food security, rehabilitation, education. We need to replace aging 20-year-old plus. I was the principal at Laurel when that new wing, the old building was taken down, something new built, 20 years, 2001, unfortunately with a flat roof. Flat roofs don't seem to hold up. We have spent monies to repair that, even that roof. And then we have the old building that was the high school building, probably built in the 50s, that has a flat roof. So what we would like to do, and we're only asking for a portion from Madison County to help us with that. We are applying for other grants. We need partners. Madison County, it'd be excellent if you would partner with us. Give us $50,000 of 166 that we have estimates to replace those roofs would cost $166,000 plus. We're asking you to help us with $50,000. Now, in the past, and Mr. Wechtel and Mr. Garrison, you have given money to community centers in Madison County. You give, most of the time, the same amount to each community center. We got $1,000 this year. That helps, but we certainly could use some additional funding. And I'm going to ask Chioa Landis to come up. She is our administrator, and she's going to go into further detail with what we do, what we need, what we have done, and I will certainly be here to answer any questions. But she's going, maybe, I think she has some slides or PowerPoint. But thank you for your time and for your attention.
Thank you.
So if you'll skip to the next slide. Oh, perfect. So my name's Chio Landis, and I've been the administrator at the community center for almost 2 years now. So I am going to read the mission statement real quick, just because it does kind of encompass what all we do. So the Laurel Community Center will provide education, fitness, and recreation, a senior meal program, affordable rental spaces for artists and entrepreneurs, a technology lab, campus-wide broadband and Wi-Fi, outdoor learning, environmental studies classroom, a welcome center focusing on the cultural and natural heritage of the Laurel region, and will foster the exchange of information and gathering of resources through meetings, lectures, workshops, and event spaces in an effort to serve and encourage the residents of the Laurel community as well as greater Madison County. As you'll see in the handout that we've provided you with, we do a lot at the Laurel Community Center and work hard every day to add more of what our community wants and needs. We spoke in November about the programming and activities that we're working to establish and provide for our community. At the 73rd annual WNC Communities Honors Award in November, we received the Calico Cat Senior Award which is for the most renovations and improvements. Out of 64 community centers, we received that award after just being around for a few years. And so that was $100,000 of improvements and renovations to the 29,000 square foot building complex. Many of these updates have helped bring that building back to life. However, now we need a roof that will help protect all of those assets. All right, so the first issue with the roof is that it's old and out of warranty, at least 20 years old. And the second reason that it's failing is because it's flat. So this thermoplastic polyfin is TPO material on a flat roof, and it collects water and debris. And with nowhere to run off, the sediment sits, and then water evaporates, and it ends up creating these dark spots on the roof, and eventually wearing holes and leaking throughout the building. So we plan to do this in 2 phases. Our estimate is a little over $160,000 for both phases. So we're going to break it into 2. Let's see here. So here's a few pictures of the 2 different parts of the roof. The first section is over the older building, which borders the creek, and the second is that newer addition nearest the gym. So when we replace this roof, we're going to be installing it with a tapered EPS insulation using 1/8 inch slope per foot to drive the water toward the gutters and keep it from pooling up. We will replace it with a 60 mil TPO roof membrane. Along with the initial cost, we'll also be upgrading to a 20-year warranty to better protect this investment. So we've recently submitted a grant to the Glass Foundation for $100,000 to go towards this project. We don't know if or when these funds might become available, but regardless, we're going to need multiple sources to pull this off. So it can't be just one party. No one really has $200,000 laying around. So we're asking for support on this project by granting us $50,000 towards this project. So as you may know, the Laurel Township is geologically the largest in Madison County and consists of about 74 square miles, making up about 16.5% of Madison County. And so out in Laurel, we love our creeks and streams. And so this here is a map of the Laurel River watershed. And so I've kind of highlighted with that red is what's considered Laurel Township. So as you can see, the green is the National Forest, which there's quite a bit of out there in Laurel. And so we have the understanding that you receive funding from non-taxable land in the National Forest. So we are requesting $50,000 towards our roof from some of this funding. And appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you have any questions for the Laurel Community Club folks?
Any questions?
We're good.
Could I make an additional comment? When we did away.
The people online can't hear you if you're not over there.
Sorry. When we did away with that failing septic system, I think there may be others in Madison County and certainly others in the state of North Carolina. It was one of those waste treatment things that treated the sewage and then it flowed into Shelton Laurel Creek. When we eliminated that, we have, and Joe or Barbara, someone help me with this, we have one of the most pristine, cleanest streams in the state of North Carolina. It is for fishermen, women, anybody that loves water likes that creek. I remember a comment from a long time ago, Chairman Wechtel, when we originally came and was asking for help to eliminate that sewage system. You said you'd love to help us, but you wouldn't flush with cash. Pardon the pun. I don't know if you're flush with cash now, but we would love your help. We would love your help.
Understood.
And any other questions that you might have in regards to anything that we've given you or anything that we've said, or we have a website, telephone, just ask, and we'll look forward to maybe knowing what you decide.
And you guys have a nice newsletter and stuff too that
We do.
anybody can subscribe to, correct, Keith?
That is correct.
You want to know what's going on up there?
Yep,
I got a question.
surely.
On your paper here, it says you generated over $450,000 in income through grants, memberships, rental spaces, donations, and others since your bank account opened.
Mhm.
And then it goes on to tell that you've been awarded $111,000 for this grant and $202,000. Is that $111,000 and that 202 counted in that $450,000?
Yes. And unfortunately, fortunately, we have had grants that will not allow us to make improvements in our infrastructure. Like we have gotten grants for musical events and programming. We've got to create classrooms. We've got, help me, Joe, different types of grants that money is earmarked for specific things. We hardly ever are allowed improvements to existing infrastructure. And I don't know why, but maybe we need to investigate further, but Barbara?
Hi, Commissioners. I'm the treasurer for Laurel Community Center, Barbara Zimmerman. That figure, 450,000, is since we have raised that much money since we opened a bank account in 2019. And that money has been raised, we have received over $111,000 in competitive grants. But those grants are for very specific projects. Like if we wrote a $50,000 grant that was specific for 2 classrooms. Or we have written a grant where we have received money to set up a welcome center. But the grants that we get, we have been very successful in our grant writing, very successful. The hardest money to come by through grants is for infrastructure. It's very hard to find and these are foundation grants. They're not government grants. They're not taxpayer grants. So, the money that we get through grants is it's allocated for very specific projects. And that's why we're coming to you to ask for the $50,000 to help for this roof event. But we are very successful. We are the only community center that, as far as I know, that is not owned by the county, and we actually hold the deed to the property. So it's on us to raise all that money. So I could answer any other questions you might have about the finances if you have any.
Gentlemen?
I mean, do you still have some money left over that out of that $450,000, or
Right now we have about $40,000 in our checking account. And we generate that money through rentals. We rent the classroom spaces. The school, former school, we have 10 leases going on, long-term leases right now. So we get a good monthly income. We get about $3,000 a month from rentals. And we have about $70,000 in our savings account, which is allocated grant money for other projects.
It's already earmarked, is what you're saying.
It's earmarked, right?
Keith, I know one time you and I had talked about you guys were looking at the potential of doing a food pantry out there. Are you guys still looking at that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
We actually attended a Zoom meeting today with the Dogwood Health Foundation, where food security was one of the issues that they were talking about. So there is money, possible money from Dogwood Health to do something like to help with a food pantry. But then again, that would be allocated money coming from them specific to that project. And we very well will probably follow up on that. But
So you've pretty much spent $410,000 in 3 years on this building.
we have spent, this year, we've spent $100,000. Isn't that right, Chioa? Yeah. From 2021 to 2022, we've spent $100,000, which includes, we've made repairs to the roof. The roof continues to leak. We've made plumbing repairs. We've painted the building. We have totally redone 2 classrooms and 2 other spaces for community use. You know, we keep up a gym. We open the gym 2 nights a week. We have people in there. We replaced the heating system in the gym from, what was it, an oil system to...
Oil-fired boiler system.
And I think we have replaced about 10 or 11. We're slowly replacing these, what kind of heating? Electric heated wall units.
yeah,
We're
like-
replacing them with mini split units throughout the building. As we get money, we put into that. So, but all of that money we have raised. We have not come to the county gives us $1,000 as the county gives all community centers. But the difference is that the county supports the infrastructure. It's my understanding that the infrastructure needs of the other community centers like Beach Glen,
Beach Glen is
Ebbs
wholly owned by
Chapel.
the county.
Spring Creek to some degree, the other community centers that are leased, it's my understanding that some of their infrastructure needs are supported by the county. We are not. I may be wrong on that, but
It's my understanding there's 3 community centers in Madison County that's not either wholly owned by the county or leased by the county, and that is Revere, Rice Cove, Laurel, and Center. I think Center Community Center is,
maybe Walnut Creek,
yeah, Walnut Creek, 4, sorry.
but
I'll just go back to say that everything is under the roof, so all of these programs and activities are influenced by whether or not it's leaking in that room.
yeah, and one of our long-term leases is with French Broad Electric. We pay them $2,400 a year. That's $200 a month. They pay us to house the guts of the high-speed internet over there at Laurel. Now that's a pretty good deal for them. And there's 800 households that benefit from that. And that whole system is under our roof, and it's under the roof of the oldest part of the building. So that's one of the benefits. And of course, we have our mill site. And we provide rental spaces to people in our community that they're affordable rental spaces. That these are people who are trying to make a living, entrepreneurs, people who are trying to have studios and workshops. We provide that for them in these rental spaces. So we have a lot going. We have a lot of investment in that building. As you know, over on Laurel, we used to have a school. We don't have a school anymore. We have our fire department, which is wonderful. We have our churches, which are wonderful. But we do not have any recreation facilities. The school is it. The gym, the fields, the activities that we do in that building, that's the heart of our community. And without that, we have the churches and the fire department. And
One country store.
And one country store. And we are the largest we are, as Chiel was saying, the largest township. Yeah. Plus, we have a huge amount of national forest, which it's our understanding that there is money that is coming into the county to take to account for that untaxed property. So we just would appreciate any help you could give us.
Understood.
Any questions anybody
Any
else
other
has?
questions, gentlemen? Keith, thank you. Appreciate your leadership out there and the group that you've assembled out there. You guys, there's no doubt you guys have done a lot of great things with that building already, and I'm sure that you've got a lot of great things planned for the future. No question about that. And then also, just to give you a little free PR here, you guys were going to have a community meeting with an open house from 3 to 5 on Saturday, January 21st.
Yes, sir.
And if it snows on Saturday the 21st, you're going to try it on the 28th. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
That's true.
So they've got their budget is limited free hot dogs to the first 100 people that show up.
That's right.
All right, very good. So you encourage anybody to go check that out. They have done really nice work up there, and they are very aggressive with how they try to pursue grants and things of that nature, and they've had a pretty good success rate so far.
Yes. We keep the Welcome Center open from 10 to 2, and Chioa works there, and she's our administrator as well. So anytime you want to drop by, building gates are open from dusk from daylight till dusk, to dark. So
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Hope you guys don't go to 12.
We're going to try not to.
Thank you.
Next up is Caleb Dispenza, Emergency Services Director. Caleb, you got an update for us here?
Yes, sir. Good evening, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Today is the continuation of my last presentation. So on December 13th, just to review what we did, this board unanimously agreed to the 911 grant for the Motorola console system. That was signed, and then that was countersigned by 911 Board Executive Director Harris on December 21st, 2022. And as shown in that grant, Section 2, Part C1 and 2, the purpose of the grant is to buy specific consoles, the Motorola MCC 7500E consoles, to improve the Madison County Emergency Operations Center. Motorola Solutions, which is the vendor that supplies those consoles, through the state of North Carolina Department of Technology 725G state contract, has submitted the Motorola MCC 7500E console system agreement, which is in your packets. The vendor agreement has been reviewed by local legal counsel and has been deemed appropriate as to form. The vendor has approved and signed Madison County's contract addendum, which is also in your packets. And then also the state of North Carolina Department of Information Technology has reviewed this contract as part of the 725G statewide contract and has advised us that the purchase may be authorized at the current level of pricing with the current contract vendor. And the NCDIT purchase transaction approval is attached. Then you also should have the certification of award from NCDIT as well in your packet there. And that basically just says that they approve this as part of that state contract. And the reason we go through them is because of the amount of the total console agreement there. With all that said, I'm requesting tonight for you all to agree and approve to that Motorola MCC 7500E console system agreement.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Got a motion on the floor by Vice Chair Garrison, second by Commissioner Wyatt. Any discussion?
Appreciate Caleb and the Colonel working expeditiously to address a few little snags we had on making all this come to fruition. So thank you, man.
Thank you.
Donnie, you've reviewed the contract. Everything's in order, sir.
It is.
Any additional discussion? Any other questions? Hearing none, we've got a motion and a second, so we'll move to a vote at this point. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Caleb. All right, up next on the agenda, we've got Kim Bellafato from the library director. Come on up, Kim. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I have just two brief administrative items for you all. Try to consolidate to be efficient. First one, we're looking to increase the rate for an out-of-county library card. We don't issue very many of them because we belong to NC Cardinal. Somebody could come with a Buncombe County card and check out books out of Madison County libraries. However, there are people who prefer to have a card issued by our county so that they can take advantage of resources that we have that other counties don't. We see it most often Buncombe. We see a little bit of folks in the Del Rio area and all, where we are actually the closest library for them. The amount that has been charged since we joined NC Cardinal, and actually it looks like prior to that, was $10 per resident. The actual cost in my budget is closer to $25, and so I am proposing that we increase the out-of-county amount to $20 for an out-of-county card, just to cover the expenses of resources that they're having access to.
And just to clarify,
Yes, sir.
there is no cost to residents of Madison
There is no
County.
cost, not to residents nor to anybody who works in the county.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
good deal. And then, so this is actually for non-residents.
This is for non-residents or non-employees in the county, of the county.
All right. So our library director is,
So I'm requesting approval to $20.
okay.
Mr. Chair, I make a move that we approve to go up on the non-resident cards to $20.
Motion by Commissioner Hensley. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any discussion? Got a motion by Commissioner Hensley, second by Chairman Wechtel. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a second item that we're proposing for the Hot Springs Library branch. Typically, I have a single employee working there. We're open from Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 2. There is no relief staff in there, and I am proposing to be able to close for a short lunch break for these folks. That very often the ebb and flow of patrons coming in means they're picking up and setting down and picking up and setting their lunch down, over a 2-hour period at the middle of the day. I
Plus
think
they're eating at the service desk.
they
right?
are eating at the service desk, which, because there's not space for a break room in that branch. So I'm just proposing, it's a common practice in Hot Springs. We debated whether to be open when everybody else was closed or just close when everybody else did. And we made the decision that it would make sense to close when everybody else does, so that people just know for that brief time period in Hot Springs, the services businesses are closed for that brief 30-minute period.
Okay.
And so I'm asking for you all to allow me to amend the hours of the branch to close daily from 12:30 to 1.
Donnie, are these things that the board has to vote on? County manager can authorize her?
I think the county manager could authorize hours of operation.
We were
They're not
uncertain
positioned.
about that when I inquired with
Position
Mandy.
henceforth, but
And your library board, I assume, has already
They have.
approved all this,
They
correct?
did,
in
yes.
street checks and balances there, I see no reason for this board to entertain.
Well, while we're here, since we've already heard it, we might as well act on it. And, but in the future, we know that
Yeah.
just for clarification, something like this can be addressed and handled by the county manager just
That'd be
fine.
great.
All right. So since it's here, we've already sat through the process. We've read it already ahead of time too, all that good stuff. I mean, hate to let a good a good
Chance
study.
to vote a yes?
That's right. Hate to let a good study go to waste. So is there a motion that we approve the change of the hours for our library director?
I so move.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second? I'll second that. So we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think on point of discussion, just knowing that between your board and your leadership and county manager's office, there's absolutely no problem with you guys authorizing whatever
Thank you.
changes are
I
necessary.
appreciate that.
Should there be any question about that, just filter it through the county manager's office.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Kim.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for all you do out there. All right, next up on the agenda this evening is Daniel Metcalf, Transportation and Operations Director. We've got a Title VI non-discrimination policy program plan. And I didn't stall long enough for you to make it to the
Daniel
podium,
Metcalf.
did I?
Come on, legs.
That's all good. You like me, it takes a minute to get started, doesn't it?
Good evening. The Madison County Transportation Authority is asking for your approval of a Title VI plan. This has been updated. Requires no funding.
This has been approved by your board already, is that correct?
It will be presented.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're the first step?
Yeah.
Okay.
This comes to us as a template and we fill in our information. The biggest update is the census data using the 2020 census information.
Does the template come from the state or the feds?
State.
State, okay. All right. And Donnie, you've had opportunity to review.
I have reviewed this and it looks appropriate. The only thing that I would emphasize is that there is a list of requirements that the transportation department has to comply with. And one of those is that in all your contracts, you have to have specific language that's set forth in that policy. So any contracts that you do, just make sure that language is included in there. Anything that I need to review, forward that to me also. It's a policy that it mandates that the transportation director has to do certain things within that policy. And that's just what Daniel does, to look at those and post those and make sure that everything you do, you comply with.
Right.
Okay. Very good. So at this point, is there a motion to approve the Title VI non-discrimination policy program plan?
I'll make that motion.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner White. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any additional discussion?
Are we approving this plan or is this a revision?
It is an updated plan, but it has to be done
So I think
every
this is
so
a point of
often,
clarity.
3 years.
We're not approving this plan, we're approving an updated revision of the pre-existing Title VI plan.
Correct.
They audit this plan every year and they give us the modifications that need to go in it. So they do the work for us and then provide us with finished product. Is that not right?
That's correct.
Any additional discussion? Any other questions? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
That's a lot less expensive than your last visit here. Thank you, Daniel.
Probably a lot less stressful too.
Yeah, probably. For all of us. All right, up next, Interim County Manager Colonel Honeycutt.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge the library hours of operation task. And so we've got 5 topics tonight to discuss with you. First is school surplus. The school board has declared property surplus, are requesting that you make an offer on the property or reject the property. They want to enter into negotiation with an adjacent landowner with this property.
So essentially, if we reject the property, the school system is going to trade it for an equal amount of property from an adjoining property owner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we reject.
So we've got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison, second by Commissioner Hensley. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. What else do you
The
have?
next topic is the Mosaic Management Consulting lease. This is a follow-over from the December meeting. This was a point of clarity from the courthouse work group, and they have concurred that we do need the building. I have met with the manager and will enter into a contract on 15 January, pending the board's approval to occupy the 2 rooms in question.
And those rooms essentially district attorney, is that correct? District attorney and staff. You guys have had the contract for the last few days. Take a look at it. Any questions? Is there a motion?
I so move.
Motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hensley. I wasn't looking. Appreciate it. I thought it sounded like your voice. All right.
The next topic.
So we've got a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion?
Just as a point of clarity, that board will also be bringing other recommendations regarding triage necessities for the courthouse instead of while the county moves forward with trying to allocate funding and constructing a new courthouse. This is all part of that initiative. This is the first part of it because there's a contractual lease agreement that needs to be finalized in order to secure the property so that in the next 5 years, while this process of building goes forth, that the district attorney's office has sufficient space to continue to operate. As far as how we allocate funding for that, I guess we'll decide that, whether that comes from the state grant money or whether it comes from the county tax, the county courthouse fees. If it comes to county courthouse fees, that's a discussion we'll need to have with our finance director that will impact our general revenues and expenditures, so.
And the only questions I have, Donnie, you've reviewed the contract, correct?
Yes, sir.
The only thing that I'd noticed is that potentially could be out of order on the contract here is for the notary witnesses, they're dated June 2022.
They just, that's when the original draft was and all they can do is.
That's easily fixed, correct? Okay, very good. All right. Any additional discussion? We've got a motion and a second.
Is those rooms ready to move in on the 15th?
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Next topic is for information only based on inquiry from the chairman. Right now, we have 14 parcels that are under contract for mowing in FY 2022. They will be the same for FY 2023 for one contractor. One contractor has requested an increase of $20 in his contract because he has had an additional parcel across the street that he took part of the mowing. If we add additional properties to that request, the cost will increase. Propose that we bring that back to you in February after we consult with the maintenance department on any additional property to be added.
My only concern with that is the fact that it's January and contractors are trying to fill their contract obligations. If the county's not going to use their services, then they need to be obligating to other private individuals for their services so that they can sustain their livelihood.
They're aware of our timetable, are they not?
They are.
Okay. They're okay with that?
It was 4/4, April 4th is when we signed last year, and I think we'll exceed that this year.
Well, we were way late last year. That's part of the problem. You know, the obligations and commitments were just by the fact that we did something different, put us in a huge timeline crunch that we were 2 months beyond. We were actually to the point of mowing and we didn't have contracts.
I could add, if the board so chooses, you could approve the existing contract so that they will know you will have that.
And then negotiate
And
the
then
other.
you could amend that contract if you want to add any additional properties to it. That's your choice.
That would be my position, rather.
Is that your motion?
I'll make that move.
We've got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner White. Any additional discussion? My question, Colonel, is that these gentlemen that have these contracts it's what we're doing in conjunction with your discussions with their, in line with your discussions with them?
Spoke to both of them today, and I told them by the February board meeting, we would have property in the statement of work outline if there's any increase.
Okay. So at this point, we're going to approve the existing contracts for renewal, and then we will negotiate separately and individually any corrections, changes, or additions, I guess, correct? Okay. All right, so is there any other discussion, any other questions?
I just want to say, just as a point of public note, that this board is considering the cost of contracting out those mowing services versus the cost of having our own employees, and that will be a continued ongoing discussion. This is only the second year we've done this, so we're learning the cost and the assessment of what it costs us to operate those, and the likelihood of being able to retain employees to do it. So, future reference, you'll hear that discussion again.
All right. Any additional discussion or questions? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Up next, county-owned surplus property.
One property that's up for question tonight, 2.33 acres. So I'm going to bid one with 2.33 acres for $17,330. If accepted, it will go into the bid. If not, it'll go into an upset bid process.
I'll make a move that we reject that bid.
So we have a motion to reject the bid. This is,
Where's this located?
yeah, I don't see that one in our packet. What do you got, Rod?
I see
Fire
$200.
River Lodge, ain't it?
Yeah, I'm on page 195.
It's the value of it, isn't it? 17.
Yeah, the value is 17.3. The offer is $200.
Yes.
That's a lot in Bear River Lodge, and it's an insult,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just as the next bid's going to be as well.
Both of them are inappropriate for the mountain size of the acreage.
They're wasting our time.
Yeah, we are. Let's
Take it.
Bear River Lodge, yeah.
Would you care to amend your motion that we reject both offers, Commissioner Hensley?
I move that we, make a move that we reject both offers.
yeah, second.
Second, got a motion by Commissioner Hensley, second by Commissioner Briggs. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, move on to a vote. All in favor? All right, those bids have both been rejected. Thank you.
Right, the next one's a previous awarded bid in the amount of $3,800, but the person that had bid it had failed to follow through on the bid.
So they made their deposit and then they reneged on the deal?
Yes.
Is that correct?
There's been no communication.
So they've ghosted us?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did not send, I think the board approved it. Andy reached out to them, told them if they would give us the balance, we would tender them a deed, and we never received their balance. So this board originally accepted the bid, so what I would recommend that you do is rescind that bid and take their deposit as a forfeiture.
And we've given them the legal required amount of time to provide the additional funds?
More than enough.
All right, fair
Mr.
enough.
Chair, I so move we rescind the bid, keep the deposit, and repost the property.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Briggs. Is there any any discussion at all on this? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right.
So the next topic is 2023 board vacancies and reappointment. You have a spreadsheet in your packet. There's 6 different boards requiring the vacancies or reappointments for those vacancies. First one is the economic board.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we reappoint Forrest Gilliam for the next 3-year term.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. Motion and second. Is there any discussion?
Forrest is currently vice chair on that board and is doing an excellent job, and that particular board is in the middle of a lot of really important ongoing projects, so we don't want to do a whole lot to upset the apple cart.
And just for your consideration too, gentlemen, that board has asked that we have a work session in the month of February and dedicate some time to meet with them as their board and our board, and that would be a public meeting. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We'll address that issue in the near future. But chairman of that board, Chairman Cody, reached out to me yesterday and asked if that would be a possibility. So I told him I'd mention it to you guys this evening. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Gentlemen, the next one is the Housing Authority Board reappointment.
Mitch Klein's reappointment. Mitch Klein currently resides there as a police officer down in Mars Hill. Filled a vacancy for the duration of that term, has not served a full term. I make a motion that Mitch be reappointed.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? All in favor of reappointing Mitch Klein? Unanimous. Thank you.
Gentlemen, next is the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, 5 reappointments and 1 new appointment.
Yeah, so I had a discussion with Chris earlier today, and he has indicated that Jonathan Wallen, Eric Allen, Mac Boone, and Mark Snelson have all agreed to serve, and we have 1 vacant position, which is a member that has been appointed and has not attended 1 meeting since that individual had been appointed to the board, so that they are considering that position vacant, and they would like to recommend that Mitch Hampton be placed in that position. The current individual lives in Hot Springs. We still have 1 representative down there from Hot Springs, and Mitch is kind of halfway between Hot Springs and Marshall. So the director feels confident that Mitch can represent the Hot Springs area just as well as he can anywhere else. So that being said, I will make a motion that we fill the vacancy with Mitch Hampton and reappoint Jonathan Wallen, Eric Allen, Matt Boone, and Mark Snelson all to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. I make that in the form of motion. Is there a second?
Maybe better that we split those.
All right, we want to split them then? Okay, fair enough. I rescind my motion, and let's take them one at a time. Jonathan Wallen.
I make a move that we reappoint Jonathan Wallen for that.
Motion by Commissioner Hensley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. All in favor? Okay.
Just as a point, do we have other applicants that aren't on here?
No, sir.
Nope. The only additional applicant that we currently have.
There are, at your space, there are 2 more that were just turned in today, but other than that, no more.
So we do have 2.
They're under your material.
Oh, very good.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thanks, Mandy.
All right, we move forward. I thought Winder was. That's the reason I was asking.
All right, so we have is there any additional discussion in regards to Jonathan Wallen's position?
We can't hear back here. We're not sure what you're talking about.
This is the Parks and Rec Board reappointing Jonathan Wallen. We've got a motion and a second, and we're in the discussion phase in regards to Jonathan Wallen for the Parks and Rec Board. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Appears to be unanimous. Next up, is position on Parks and Rec. My computer's going nutty here for a sec. Let's get that fixed. Eric Allen,
I'll move that we appoint Eric Allen.
motion by Commissioner White. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote on Eric Allen. All in favor? Unanimous. Up next is position currently being handled by Mac Boone. And the director, department head has requested that Mac Boone be reappointed. Mac Boone has agreed to serve. Is there a motion that we reappoint Mac Boone?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we fill Mac Boone's position with Tiffany Ferguson. Mac served us faithfully over many years from the Beach Glen community, but Tiffany is also a counselor of the school system, has been a coach for 10 years in the school system, and has a direct relationship and interest in what's going on with the Parks and Rec. So that's my motion.
Second.
So we have a motion by Vice Chair Garrison, second by Commissioner Hensley. Any additional discussion? I'll just go on record and say Mac Boone has been a very faithful servant to that board. And
Oh, we've got two more on.
we do. So is there, but we're voting, right now we're voting on Mac's position. Any additional discussion?
Who we voting on?
Voting for Tiffany
Ferguson.
So we've got a motion and a second to appoint Tiffany Ferguson to that board. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's nothing against Tiffany. I just think Mac Boone has
Well, can't we
been a faithful servant.
Can't we put him in? We got two more on.
Well, the two remaining are for Hot Springs, and they try to. There's nothing. Just for clarification, there's nothing in their charter that says that they have to be done geographically. But we've always tried to have a cross section of the county on the board. So that's so the two remaining spots are currently Hot Springs spots. And Mark Snelson has indicated to the department head and also to myself personally that he would like to continue to serve as representative for Hot Springs. So I will make the motion that we reappoint Mark Snelson to the position he currently has.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garrison, Vice Chairman Garrison, I'm sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous? And then the final spot is Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Again, is a slot that traditionally is held by someone from Hot Springs. There are no other applicants currently from Hot Springs. Mitch Hampton is the only other applicant that has applied. I'm sorry, who was the other one that we received? Was that a Hot Springs person? Oh, Forrest?
Economic development.
Okay, all right, so we don't then. So then we don't have any additional people from Hot Springs or any additional people other than those that have already been discussed for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. So at this point,
It should be noted, too, that Mitch has served on other boards in the county. He's been not only a faithful servant, but a good leader in those boards, and he is involved in the recreational activities commercially of our county.
the department head feels that Mitch would be a very valuable addition to that board, especially considering the previous individual hasn't attended any meetings whatsoever. So I will make a motion that we appoint Mitch Hampton to the vacant seat there for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right. So we've got Parks and Rec
Gentlemen, next is the planning board, 3 vacancies with 13 names.
Wait a minute. 3 vacancies.
For this week, for this month.
That's right.
Yep, for this month, we have 3.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Wesley Keith be appointed for the first position of vacancy for marshal.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Garrison. Is there a second? I'll second Wesley Keith. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Second position is a Mars Hill slot.
I want to make a motion that we appoint Clayton Honeycutt.
Is that your former seat, Mr. Commissioner?
That is.
All right.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Wyatt, second by Vice Chair Garrison for Clayton Honeycutt. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
We'll go ahead and publish his cell number.
Yes.
And then we've got the spot for Hot Springs. And that is a planning board spot, which with a term that will be ending. This is to finish an unfulfilled term, I guess, because it only runs through the end of this year, correct?
Yep.
All right. So anybody have any nominees for that?
Mr. Chair, can we, I'd like to appoint Lee Wild to that position, but he's in, Marshall.
Commissioner Wyatt, you've spent a lot of time on that board. Is there a requirement that the individuals be geographically located, or is that just something we've tried to do?
There's not a requirement. That's just something that we've always tried to do is keep one from each community, and there will be an opportunity to put another future in that spot, and we can put one for Hot Springs, but I would second Jeremy's motion that we, you just make a motion. Oh,
I'll just ask him about it, so we can do it.
I think we can't, there's nothing in writing that says.
I
don't
don't
answer that question.
All right.
It's just something that we always try to keep 9 members on that board and a member from each community.
Okay.
They just need to be residents of Madison. They got to be residents of Madison County.
All right.
Well, I make a move that we appoint Lee Wild to that position.
So we have a commotion. Freudian slip there. We have a motion by Commissioner Hensley to put Lee Wild in that vacant position with term ending December of this year. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor?
Can I say something about that board?
Sure.
That board, those 9 members that serve on that board, I served on that board for a long time, and that's probably the most contentious board in this county. And they do it, they do not get paid, they're volunteer, they spend countless hours going to these meetings and going to work sessions, and it was a great honor and a great pleasure to serve on that board and serve the people of Madison County, and to work alongside all these great people. They have great continuity, and the 3 that I think we picked tonight will continue that same line and the same continuity, and I appreciate every one of them.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner White.
Gentlemen, next is the Tourism Development Authority. Who reappointed?
Mr. Chair, I move Jackie Ball be reappointed.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Garrison, second by Commissioner Hensley, that Jackie Ball be reappointed to the TDA. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. second spot there on the Tourism Development Authority. Seat currently occupied by Bill Ricker. Mr. Chair, gentlemen, I make a motion that we reappoint Bill Ricker. I know, huh?
I'll second that.
So we have a.
Second that too, whichever.
All right, we'll let Briggs get on it. Okay, how's that? He's it's all good. We're good. All right, so we've got a motion by Chairman Wechtel, a second by Commissioner Briggs. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous?
You might want to tell that they've been on this thing, they've got things going. That's one reason that I voted for.
So, yep, just to expand on what Bill's talking about, there are a couple projects that the TDA has been working on now for quite a while that if they're able to come to fruition as we anticipate will be a great accomplishment for Madison County, and I think it would be a shame to remove those two gentlemen from this board, considering how much work they've put into what's going on. And at this point, obviously, my counterparts have agreed with that. So those two gentlemen have been reappointed, and we are very grateful for their long and trusted service in their position. Bill, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I wanted you to do it, you did.
Okay, all right.
You know what they've been doing, and that's really referred to you.
It's all good. I appreciate it.
All right, Jim, the final two are for the Watershed Review Board.
Let's see. So,
Mr.
In
Chair,
order-
I move we reappoint Billy Anders, who
All right.
resides in that location and he currently serves.
motion by Vice Chair Garrison, second by who? Second. Commissioner Hensley. Just so everybody knows, it will move to discussion. Requirement here is that they be a resident and property owner in the Ivy River watershed. And so we have a motion and a second for Billy Anders. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous?
I nominate Clayton Willis for the other one.
All right.
He's there, lives in the area. So,
Second.
So motion by Commissioner Briggs, second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion on Clayton Willis? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Thank you.
Then the last one is appointed Board of Commissioners representation at the Valley Health Community Commissioners Advisory Board.
And current employee for that is Kathy Price from the Madison County Health Department. And that being the representative on that board, it is their wishes that Kathy be reappointed to that position. And being the commissioner representative on that board, I will make that motion. So I move that Kathy Price be reappointed to the VIA Health County Commissioner Advisory Board as our representative.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, move on to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Kathy Price.
And gentlemen, for your situational awareness, upcoming vacancies, there will be 6. And if that's your question, that completes my portion.
Very good. We've actually, all those 6 that are on the list will be for the month of February, Colonel?
Is that true? Maybe. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right. Any additional county manager update, Colonel?
That completes. Round complete.
All right, very good. So at this point, we will now entertain a motion to go into closed session, again for litigation of Iva Frisbee versus Madison County for attorney-client privilege pending litigation, and that is General Statute 143-318.11A3, and for personnel, General Statute 143-318.11A6. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Garrison,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? We're in closed session. Thank you, everybody.
other business, I make a motion with adjourn.
All right, we've got a motion by Vice Chairman Garrison, second by Commissioner White, that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.